Hey everybody, it's Krista here with Blooms and Brushstrokes. Welcome to my channel. For all of you, oh, there's Mr. Tex coming to say hi. For all of you that are new here, thank you for joining the channel and checking out what is happening here. For those of you that are returning, thank you so much for being loyal to my channel and for sticking around and enjoying all the tutorials that I share with you guys. I appreciate it so much. So today, following along with some of my inspiration that I had when I was on my trip to Thailand, we are going to do a painting of some frangipans. So those are beautiful flowers that grow on trees all throughout Thailand. They were everywhere. For the most part, I saw white frangipans everywhere. I just gave Tex some catnip, so you'll hear his bell in the background. Anyways, and so at the resort I stayed at when I was down at the beach on the southern part of Thailand, in the yard there, they had a tree with pink frangipans on it. And they were so beautiful, and they kind of grow in clusters and clumps, as I will show you guys in the picture that is my inspiration. It was so beautiful. I couldn't believe it. I'd seen predominantly all white ones for the most part. There was some really bright intense pink ones, and then there were these ones that were a little bit more of a pastel-y baby pink for the most part. So anyways, I had to grab a photo of them because they were absolutely beautiful, and I knew that I wanted to try to paint these, so that's what we're doing today. And then I had somebody comment on one of my videos asking, do I ever paint backgrounds? And to be totally honest, I don't typically paint a lot of background because I can find paintings can get pretty busy with the flower, the line work, and the metallic. It can be quite a bit. However, that was not a challenge to me per se, but that is something different that I don't typically do. So I thought today, why not paint a little bit of background? It's not that I don't do it. There are paintings that I do have some background color in and whatnot. But today I thought, why not throw a couple of leaves in the background, and then we will paint in some color in the background as well. So you guys can see and we can decide, does it look too busy? Does it feel complete? Because we can do a little bit of everything. This isn't typically what I do, so bear with me. We're gonna have fun together today. And we're going to try something a little bit different than what we normally do. So I'm going to get you guys to get all your paint supplies together. I will take a photo of the frangipans and I will place it here for you guys if you want to take, because I have pre-drawn it. I should note this as well. The reason that I pre-drew it is because we are going to do some background and it can get a bit busy and we can lose sight of our flowers. So I decided to draw in our leaves and our flowers because then I will always kind of know where they're going. This is just a guideline. This doesn't necessarily mean that the flowers are going to be exact, but this is going to give us a rough outline. So draw it, sketch out your drawing, and then let's get ready to paint away. Okay, so I'm pretty set up here, you guys. I've got my paints, which I'm using the Yarka St. Petersburg paints today. I am going to use the Speedball calligraphy ink at some point, and I have a variety of round brushes as usual. So I think for the majority of this painting I am going to be using my number 8 Aqua Elite round brush there, which is something I love a lot. I will likely be using my 10-0 liner for some detail, and perhaps maybe our number 1 script. So those will be likely the 3 brushes that I'm using, not that one, this one, the number 1 script brush. So those will likely be the 3 that I predominantly use throughout this whole painting. If I switch it up, I will let you guys know, and I will also put these in the description of the video so you guys know. I'm gonna set those aside for now. Okay, so to start with, I'm going to do a light wash in the background, and I'm going to use pink because in this picture it is a lot of the pink flowers. So I want it to be a bit of a pink background so that it still looks like there's some flowers back there. So I'm going to be using the rose color, which is this one right here, but I'm going to use it very diluted for our background, okay? So we're going to get paint and we're going to pop it into our dish. Oof, there's a lot there. And we're going to add lots of water into that. You might want to get a little swatchy paper on the go. I'll just use this. That's pretty light, so that's good. We could even maybe go a bit lighter. We're just doing a light wash in the background, so that's going to fill up the empty spaces. So quite light like that, okay, you guys? If it's too dark, then you can go in and add, well, we can actually put some water down first, to be honest. So we can, well, my brush isn't totally clean, but you can do a clean brush and do wet on wet, which will give it a more diluted look in the background. So we'll just do that. For these spaces around everything that we've drawn. So that's going to give us some background color. I was thinking about this last night in bed, and so I was like, no, I'm going to do the background as in pink. So you can choose whatever color you prefer, but the reason that I'm using pink is because it'll feel like there's still some flowers in the background, kind of. And it doesn't need to be perfectly to the edges at all. You can kind of, you know, you can see over here it's not perfect to the edge. You can kind of just make it a little bit more organic looking by putting water down and not going totally to the edge with it. And we want to keep this light. We don't want the background to take over what we're painting. So we're just going to go around and do that in the background. So you can go and fill your background in whatever color you so desire. If you want to go pink, do pink. If you want to do red, do red. But just remember, my hot tip is to keep it on the muted side, not too vibrant. And it doesn't need to be totally perfect. It can just be a wash and just... So go ahead, do that, and once that's done, we can reconvene and we'll talk about what we're doing next. So that's enough for me, for my background. I think that's plenty because, again, this is gonna feel busy to me, but we're rolling with that. So there's our background color. If you wanted to add in a little bit more kind of depth in here, you could go in and add a little bit more depth. I'm not going to do too much of that because I want the main focus to be our flowers and our leaves. And even the leaves, I want them to still be kind of in the background. I don't want them to be so super predominant. And so for the most part, when I do something like this, I work from the background forward. Or another hot tip, work from lightest to darkest. You can't, it's a challenge to go light once you've gone dark. So there's a couple hot tips for you guys. I've now got a little wonky water thing going on here. So we're starting in our background and moving forward. So our next thing that we're going to work on is our leaves. And so these leaves are like that vibrant green, living plant green. Again, we still want our flowers to be our predominant thing, so I'm not going to go too crazy with the green of the leaves, but I do want them to be green. And so we are going to use that similar dot technique that I've been doing, and we're going to do it with this even though there's a background, and see how it works out. It could get interesting, it could be beautiful, but we're experimenting today, and I did not do a pre-one of these. I did not do a trial run, so we're all doing it together at the same time. So for our leaves, we're going to use some of the Russian green, Wow, these things really got activated today once I sprayed them. And of course, my favorite, which is olive green. Well, I like the two of them mixed together, but here we have Russian green, olive green. So we're going to put down some dots of both of those. Dilute them quite a bit in your tray, or dilute them quite a bit before you use them, wherever you are mixing. And so we're going to do a couple green dots here of the olive green. And then we're going to go in and do some of the, so where there might be more shadow, as in kind of underneath this flower, you can do the darker green. Get your brush wet, as I showed in my demo. So you're going to want to get it wet, kind of clean off some of that brush, but still quite wet. And we're going to go in and we're going to just move through that organically. Just like so. It's like, okay, yep, I like that. I think that's going to be great. I want to add some more depth kind of in this little area of what's going on here. Whoa, that is dark. So we're just going to use some of that Russian green. And we're just going to put some of that down in there. It's going to create a little bit more look of shadow. I think that looks good enough. Because we still want these to be kind of whimsical. Like, we don't want it to be totally perfect. At least I don't, but if you do, then you can go ahead and really fill in all of the green, all of the, like, you can fill in your whole leaf, whatever way you like. But I still want it to be my style, where it's a little bit more whimsical. We'll put the detail in with the Micron pen and the metallic ink, and we can go in and do a little bit of line work. So be mindful of that. And less is more when it comes to watercolor painting, you guys, truly. So we're going to go over to this next one over here. The pink is a little bit damp still, but it's not the worst if it ends up bleeding a little bit. But again, so we're going to do some dots in here, dark, with our Russian green. And then for the tip where it might get a little bit more light, we're going to go with our olive green. And then we're going to take our brush, clean it off. I'm going to put a little green on here to get down in this area. And we're just going to run through that. This is a little more challenging to just be playful when you have such an intense drawing going on and you're kind of working in the background. And you don't want it to look, I don't know, to me I'm like, I still want it to look whimsy, but it has structure to this painting. So we're kind of trying to find a bit of a balance in there, or I am. Of whimsical and structured. A little fine balance of both. So again, you can go in with some darker Russian green, just because of course we do want a little bit of shadow in this one. Otherwise it'll just look one-dimensional, which is, this is far from one-dimensional with these flowers. And we can mix a little bit of these two together, the Russian green and the olive green as well. So when it's too structured, I go in just with a clean brush and then smudge it out so that it takes away a bit of that harsh line. But I think that looks really good. This is kind of fun. This is kind of pushing my creative brain a little bit today, which I quite like. Okay, so the last leaf is over in this corner. And I'm going to go in with more dark than anything. Well, the leaf is kind of folded over. So we're going to want to go in with dark on the part that has the lines and a little less dark on the part that has that doesn't have the lines, that's folded over. So again, put our dots in there. get your brush cleaned off, but with some water on it, just like so. Oh, whoa, whoa, I'm bumping everything. Sorry, guys. And a little bit of the olive green mixed in with some of the Russian, but more olive green to do the brighter side. Like so. We can go in with a little bit of that olive green over here and just add some brightness into that. And we can go in with some of our Russian green on this other part. So you want to dilute it quite a bit, but you still want quite a bit of pigment on your brush. So when we go over here, now we don't want that harsh line, so we're just going to smudge it out with a clean brush. I think that looks good. Oh, I got a rogue hair there. And I think that's enough for the background leaves there. So the next thing that we're going to do, now this can be a little bit more structured. There is the branches, just a very few of them in here. And those are kind of in a more of a reddy burnt red color. So I might actually go in with the burnt umber, which is this one here. And dilute it quite a bit. We can add more detail by layering it up, but they are on the redder side. So I'm just going to go in and do those quite detailed. So I'm not going to do the dots. I'm just going to go in and just kind of brush them in there. Just like so. There's not a lot of them, but enough. We still want them in there because they give, not structure, but they give flow to the painting because of course, like we want to, there is, you know, these flowers and whatever, we do want to have a little connection to them. So, and there's some in the photo, so why not? So we're going to go with that. I'm going to pick up a little bit of that paint so it's not so intense. Just like that. Beauty. Guys, I'm thinking that's looking really good so far. So now we're going to move into our flowers, which is going to be the fun part. So as you can see, the flowers have a bit of yellow in the center, and then they go out into this beautiful pink with some darker pink edges and all that kind of stuff. So we are actually going to use the dot technique. We want to do these a bit whimsical, but you can see the structure of the line. And I guess I should also mention that before you go, in a regular situation, if I was painting this for something, I would have went in and cleaned off quite a bit of the pencil line, just so it's not as predominant. But because of the tutorial, I did not do that. I want you guys to see what's going on. So I left it the way that it is. So we will probably see some pencil marks in between there. At this point in time, you could also go in and remove a little bit with one of those, just help me out. What the heck is that eraser called? I'm blaming it on menopause. I can't remember anything, but you can take one of these erasers. It's got like cat hair in it, jeez. And you can just roll over and pick up some of that pencil line. We can do that now as well. There's no right or wrong. Most people would do it before, but if you wanted to do it a little bit right now, you can go pick up some of that. So it's just not as dark. If you went really dark, I didn't go crazy dark, but darker than I normally would. Good enough. but you can use that. That's one of those, you can buy them and they're just gray. They come looking like a square. They come in different colors as well. I do believe that it's just an eraser that you can go in and pick up pencil line with. So I got to get a new one. Mine's kind of getting gross. Anyhow, so for these flowers, we're going to start in the background. So we have this one that's in the background. You can see because this petal is covering this one. So we're going to start with this one. We're using the rose and we're going to use yellow in the center of it. And we're going to go bright. So I'm going to use the cadmium yellow. I want to use that. It's going to be fun. So we're going to use that and our rose color diluted. And we're going to do the dots. So get out your paint. Get your colors ready. You can do different colors as well. You don't have to do the same as me, but similar kind of technique. So we're going to start here and we're going to do our dots in the center. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on each petal. I could have used a little bit more water in there. So I'm just going to do a dot of water into each one of those. Next up, we're going to take our rose. And I'm going to get a little less diluted than what we used for our background because we want to be a little bit more vibrant. And we're going to do dots just above that yellow in each leaf, or each petal, sorry. Just one. I'm just going over them so there's a little more pigment in there. Okay. So now you're going to clean off your brush, tap it off, make sure there's still some water on there, and we're going to go, and it's clean. You want clean because we're going into that bright yellow. And we're going to go in and do we want to clean it off. This one you got to be careful with because with that pink being so vibrant, it can definitely mud up that yellow. So you got to clean your brush to keep that yellow looking true. And just the same as we've been doing, clean your brush off, get some water on there, drag. Clean your brush off, drag. So you might start to panic a bit because there's going to be some dots. And we don't necessarily want severe dots, but you can just go in with your slightly damp brush and just smudge it out a bit. And there we have our very first one done. So you can still have fun with the dots and have guidelines in there, which is amazing. So we've done our very first one there, and then we're going to move over to this one here because it's also in the background behind this big one here. You can see that it's going over top this petal. Similar kind of idea. This one we're going to do the same. We're going to go in with that yellow. We're going to add a bit more yellow down there on this one. Bit bigger dots with some more water. And then we're going to go in with that rose, but I'm not going to dilute it as much. We're going to get brave here. A little more intense pigment on that one. Why not? We're just having fun. You can put a couple dots in there if you like. You don't have to follow the exact dot pattern. We can say put one here, put one here. So it's just going to pick up paint in a few different spots. Clean your brush off. Clean your brush off. It's very important with this yellow that your brush is clean between each pass through or you're going to get real muddy. So clean it off. Yes, I'm loving this. Clean off your brush again. And it's okay if you get a little bit of that like kind of mixed together. It's no big deal, but you still want the look of that yellow in the center. So say we're like, you know what, we really want this one to be really yellowy. Well, you can go in, grab some yellow while it's still wet, and dab some in there, right at the center. This one's a little, more muted. Fine. It's like, oh, hey, you know what? maybe these little dots are going to drive me crazy. Okay, let's go in and smudge those out. Again, they may not be perfect, but that's okay. You could even go in and add some more rows if you wanted to. So you could kind of go in and, oh, we want a little bit down here. And maybe that's too much. We'll just pick that up a bit. So you can play around with that as well. That's a little too dry. We're going to let that one be so. Less is more, as I say. Sometimes I have to follow my own advice. So that one's done, and that one's beautiful too. Okay, so we're going to go up to this one, and this one we're going to have a little bit lighter because it's just starting to open up, so it's not going to have as much pigment yet, but we do want to still do that kind of brighter but deeper because it's still kind of closed up. And so we're going to add some of that cadmium yellow, but we're going to also add in some Hansa yellow, which is just a little bit darker, a bit of a mustardy kind of yellow. This one and this one mixed together. And we're going to go and we're going to drop that in there, and we're going to go with quite diluted of the rose there. So we're just going to touch that down there in the center. I did a few little dots because it's just a little bit more condensed. So then we're going to dilute this one. We don't want it to be quite as vibrant, so we just want it to be a little, and I can tell it's quite diluted. So now clean off your brush. Again, don't forget, we want it clean for each pass through. Oh yeah, loving that. I'm gonna add just a teeny bit more in this one here because it's getting quite diluted out. Yes. I like that, you guys. I just love the softness of all the tones in here. So that one's really good. There's quite a bit of yellow in there. It maybe got away on me a little bit, but that is what makes these pictures so great. The painting so great. The organic flow of everything is really beautiful. And then this big one here, I want this one to be quite vibrant as well. So we're going to do the yellow, cadmium yellow, again, that nice bright kind of lemon yellow in that center. And then we're going to do not very diluted into more diluted because we want this to stay pretty pink. So we got quite a bit in there, as you guys can see. Clean off your brush. I'm going to say that over and over. As you guys will probably see, you guys will get it. You'll say, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I've got muddy colors going on. It all takes us some trial and error. Clean off that brush and go. Clean off that brush. Pull it up. Clean off your brush. We're starting from the bottom where the yellow is up and out because we want that the petals to be pink and the yellow to stay in the middle. And then, yep, our last one here. Okay, any of those little dots in there, just go smudge them out with a very, like not super wet, just like you tap it and then dry it off on your paper towel. So you're still damp but not soaking because you'll make a big mess. You'll get a blob of color going on there. So I think that looks really good, you guys. I don't even think I'm going to mess with it. Honestly, I'm going to let that just be so. And then we have this twig that I actually want to go in and do a little bit more deep, like just add a bit more depth to it. So I'm going to go in with the Mars Brown, which is just beside that burnt umber. Mars Brown there. And I'm just going to add a little bit more kind of detail to it. And I don't know why I feel this, but I want to. For whatever reason, I just think it's got to be a little more detailed in there. So I'm just adding a little bit of that color in there and then just kind of smudging it out a bit. Yeah, just like so. So I'm not going to tamper with that anymore because I think it could be a fine line between, oh, I got like an interesting little thing going on here. I'm just going to smudge that out. It could be a fine line between overdoing it and whatnot, because we're going to go in with some ink now, and we're going to go in with some metallic. So let that be. We're going to let that totally dry up, and then we're going to go in and do some detail with our ink. So I don't think I mentioned this at the beginning, but you can get your Micron archival ink pen out, or whatever ink pen you want. This one I'm going to use the number 2 because that's one I pulled out. I got these ones in Thailand. The number 2, I typically use the number 1, but this is the first one I pulled, so why not? So we're pretty dry. We can start working on some of the detail in the background here. So our leaves, number 1, they're smooth, but they have lines. I'm not sure. Actually, you know what, you guys, I'm going to switch to the number 1. It's just a bit of a finer tip, so I am going to switch that up. I don't want to mess around here because we're going to do some line work in the leaves. So I've got my number 1. Just gently go over and add some soft line work, you guys. You don't need to push too hard and get super aggressive with it. We're just creating some soft outline. And I'm going through all of my leaves at this moment. First and foremost. Perfect. Okay, so as you can see, I've got lines in there. These leaves have predominant lines. So we're just going to go in ever so lightly and do them. And they're almost like right across from each other is kind of how they look on the leaf. And almost straight across, like very interesting. Of course, it's nature. Nature is beautiful. It's such a wonderful thing to see what nature has. Like even these leaves, how they are so perfect. Oh. So I'm just going kind of light. They're not, they're a little broken, these lines. That's fine. Same thing up and over here. Beauty. We can touch anything up we need to after. So we're going to start with outlining this flower back here. So be mindful of where the flower petals are above or over top of the other ones. So keep doing that. Now on these petals, they kind of curl up in some spots. So where that does that, we're just going to go put that second line in there. We can even say, oh, this little guy over here. Not a ton, but there is definitely some lip. It looks like a bit of a lip on some of these. So you want to add that in there to give more of that realness. in our whimsical painting. This one up here is dry as well. So we can go in. So yeah, you guys, that's the part where we're at right now. So I'm just gonna go ahead and outline all my flowers lightly, like gently. Adding those little kind of lips and flip overs just to create that movement in the petals. Like so. You guys can all do that, and we'll check in once we got that all done. So we've got those all drawn in there. I think they look lovely. And the last thing I'm gonna do is I am gonna go splatter some paint, but this is very much, if you want to, go ahead. It's not for everybody, but I love the look, or not, I'm gonna use the Speedball calligraphy ink. Oh shoot, I want this to be dripping on everything. This one's kind of messy, but anyways, you gotta shake it up really, really good. And I wanna splatter some gold ink right in the centers of them because I just think that's gonna make it look so good. And I'm not adding a lot of detail with the pen into the petals because they don't have a lot of line in them. They're very smooth looking, so I'm not gonna do that. I've shaken up my Speedball. I just noticed this one little lip area, so you can go over and just make sure you get all these little lips and flips in there. I think I've got them all. I think those look good. And if you love it the way that it looks right now, just let it be so and just leave it at that. If you're crazy like me and you want to add some splatter in there, go ahead. That's what I'm going to do. I was thinking, oh, we could paint a little bit of that in there, but I'm just going to add splatter. So I'm going to get quite a bit on there because I want it to be quite concentrated in the centers and then just lightly splattered outwards. So we'll start with this one up here. So you got quite a, I'm using my #1 script, you get quite a glob on the end there. Yes, and just concentrate it where the actual yellow is. And then some nice little delicate splatters as it moves out towards the petal, but you don't want to overdo it. Less is more with this as well. So we're gonna go in the middle of this one here. Gotta get a big glob on there. There we go. And just splatter out. I just love how that looks. I'm not entirely sure why, but I do. Some people don't. So if you don't like that, don't go do this part. But I love it. So it's kind of my thing. Yes, and like some gentle splatters out from the center. Ooh, I love that. I think that is beautiful. So another option you could do here in this painting is you could change the color of the background, fine. You could, instead of going along with the Micron archival ink pen, you could go in with your 10-0 Princeton brush or whatever brush you have, this really fine one. And you could go to the outline in the dark pink as opposed to in the black with the line, which I think would be beautiful as well. And then of course do the line work in the green and the leaves and stuff, which would look really beautiful. I think once I finished it, I was like, you know what, that could look really beautiful with just using the color with that one. So that's an option as well. And always is an option. But you guys, that is gonna do it for that tutorial. And I think it turned out pretty good. I think I would have probably liked it a little bit better without the pink background, or maybe even a different color, but I love how it turned out, and I'm not sad that I did it and that we played around with that today. I think it's great. So let's peel this off. I did sign my name before I splattered. And the paper I'm using is just still that Canson paper that I have these big, huge pieces of that I've cut them up into smaller, more workable pieces because I was not using it. I've had that for years and I wasn't using it. They're humongous pages, so I've just cut them up into smaller. You can kind of see where I bent it, but these are just practice, so it doesn't matter. But look at how beautiful that is. Simple, gorgeous. I think that's great. So there's something with a little bit of background in it if you guys are excited about that. And yeah, I think it was lovely. So what did you guys think about that one? I'm curious to know. Make sure you let me know in the comments how you feel about this beautiful one here, the Frangipans, inspired by my trip to Thailand. I have a few more pictures that I took of flowers, so we'll get to painting those as well. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you like the tutorial, please let me know that. If you guys haven't subscribed to my channel, as usual, please do subscribe. Thank you to all of you who have subscribed. I have now become monetized, but I'm still learning what that all means. I don't know. So I just haven't had time. I'm still trying to get caught up at work from being away for 2 weeks, and it's very, very busy. I've been working long days, and so I think this is last weekend was my first weekend that I actually had some like decent days off. Yeah, so anyways, I'm trying to navigate what that all means, and I also want to be mindful of what I do as far as monetization goes, because I don't want there to be a ton of advertisements and all that kind of stuff. So I'd have to look into it a lot more, but because of you guys subscribing and all that good stuff, I have been monetized. So that's very cool. Thank you guys so very much. A huge milestone. There's 2 different ways to get monetized, and or 2 different kind of levels, and I've surpassed them both now. So thank you guys so very much for enjoying my channel and for being here for the fun. And again, as I say, I'm learning just the same as you guys. So all your feedback really goes a long way. So thank you guys so very much from the bottom of my heart for tuning in and having fun with me. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. So thanks for watching.